If you're running ads and you're getting followers, but those followers never turn into actual customers, it's almost always happening in the DMs. So what I'm going to show you in this video is the exact process that I use to turn a new follower into a booked call without ever having to pitch them in the messages. So let's get into it. The next thing we're gonna do is go over some simple appointment setting. So you will be receiving some inbound messages from people who are immediately interested right away. And this is something to keep in mind in order to just book some quick jobs immediately. So now that you have leads coming in and you have your content doing a lot of the follow-up for you, we want to follow this simple process here when it comes to DM setting. And I just want to start by talking about the goals here first and foremost. So this is really important to keep in mind when it comes to setting appointments in the actual DMs. So the very first thing is we're just starting the conversation just to find out who actually needs help right away. So that's really the main goal. If they do want help, then we're just going to transition to a short call. So we're getting them out of the DMs. We're not doing some back and forth messaging with long messages. We're just figuring out, do they need help? And if they do, we're going to transition into a call. And if they don't need help right away, just be polite and just move on to the next lead, to the next follower, to the next person who's actually expressing interest. That's another big thing, is just shifting focus to people who are actually showing interest. Once you've made it through all of those people who are immediately showing interest right off the bat, then you would go back and start doing some of these outbound messages and just booking in more appointments as you need to. So the big rule here, this is what I want you to look at first, is that we are not trying to sell in the DMs. So that's a common mistake a lot of people run into, is they're trying to make a sales pitch and they're trying to actually sell somebody in the DMs, when really all we're trying to do is just start the conversation in a very simple way, and then we're just seeing if they need help. If they do need help, that's where, like I mentioned, we just transition directly to booking a call. So it makes things a lot more simple because you're sending fewer messages. If you're going back and forth with long paragraphs, honestly, you're doing too much. This should be simple and it should be streamlined and just be focused on the outcome of actually booking an appointment and seeing if you can actually help people. So that should be the focus. We'll go through this just really quickly. So yes, these are scripts, but I want you to keep in mind what the actual goal is for each part of these scripts. So each one of these scripts, it has some kind of written words that you can type out there just to make it mindless. But if you can really internalize and understand what the actual goal is that you're trying to accomplish, then you can naturally be able to craft these messages in a simple way that actually sounds like you would talk. So for example here, if somebody followed you, if they liked something or they watched your content, this would be how you would start the conversation with those people. So you would simply just go to the DMs, and I can show you on Instagram over here. If you go over to your notifications on the side, or even if you pull up your phone and open your notifications, just go down to people that have followed you, and you'll see there, it's going to say next to their name if they followed you from your ad. So you can see this person right here started following me from my ad. So I would literally just go in, click on their profile. I would go to message, and then I would type this exact message from right over here. So I'd literally just type out, hey, name, appreciate you checking out the content. So let's see what their name is. So this is Cassie. So I would literally just say, hey, let me move myself out of the way. I would just type, hey, Cassie, appreciate you checking out the content. Send. And then let's see what the next one was. Right here, asking an easy question. So the whole goal of this is just make it as easy as possible for them to reply. So I opened the conversation first. I just said, hey, name, and personalize that message to them. I just said, hey, I appreciate you checking out the content. You could say, hey, I appreciate the follow. Again, we're just starting the conversation without asking them for anything. We're just thanking them for following or thanking them for checking out the content. And then we're going to ask a no-brainer question that just is so obvious that it's so easy for them to actually reply. And we're doing that on purpose because we just want it to be easy for them to actually open the conversation. So this is a message that I send to almost everybody. You based here in Wilmington too or nearby. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm literally going to go in and just send that message to Cassie right here. So 2 messages back to back. I'm going to leave it at that. If she replies, we'll continue that conversation. So let's go jump back over here. Again, the whole purpose of this is just, obviously, I know they're based in Wilmington or nearby if they followed me from my ad, because I'm only running my ads within a 20-mile radius of Wilmington. So again, the question is so obvious because we're just starting the conversation and making it easy for them to reply and not trying to sell them anything. So as soon as we establish that, we're going to move on to finding out why they're here. So what this does is kind of creates a fork in the road. So we're asking one simple question, and this is exactly how I do it. So once Cassie responded to this last message here that I had just sent her, and she responds, oh yeah, I'm based in Wilmington, I'm not, it doesn't even matter what she says. All I'm going to do is just come back here and just ask her, hey, just curious, like, were you potentially looking for help with whatever her desired outcome is? For me, it's growing your business, it's getting more leads, it's something along those lines. So just personalize it to whatever the desired outcome that you provide for your ideal client, and just ask them that. Like, hey, were you potentially looking into, this desired outcome right now, or were you just checking out the content? And like it says here with the fork in the road, now there's just two answers. They're either going to say, yes, I'm interested in that desired outcome, or no, I'm just checking out the content. And this is what you do, exactly what happens when they respond. So if they say, hey, I'm just checking out the content, totally fair. Appreciate you being here. I'll keep you posted. I'll keep posting helpful stuff. Just let me know if you ever have questions, and just stop there. Because keep in mind, they're just going to keep seeing the rest of your content over and over and over if you're retargeting them, if you're actually posting content consistently. So even if they're not ready today, they're just going to keep seeing you time and time and time again, so that when you do come back and re-engage this conversation, they're going to be like, dude, I've seen you like every single day for the past week. Like, let's jump on a call. Like, now I'm ready. But again, let's say if they do say right off the bat, yes, I'm interested, perfect. All we're going to do is just ask a simple question. Got it. What's the main thing you're trying to improve right now? Right? Just to kind of understand and kind of qualify and filter and see if you can help. But if you're at a point where you're like, man, I have a wide open schedule, I can book in calls like back to back to back, you don't have to ask this. You can just transition right into this next line here. Like, oh, okay, perfect. That makes sense. Might be able to help, but I just need a little more context. Right here, would you be open to a quick 10-minute call so I can ask a few questions and see if I can actually help? So the framing of these questions is pretty much everything. So now we're on to step 4 with offering the actual call. When I say framing, I mean, look, we're saying this in a way where it's like, hey, look, would it just be easier to jump on a quick call just to see if I can even actually help you? So in their mind, they're not feeling that sales resistance of like, hey, would you be open to a 10-minute call so I can like sell you something? It's like, obviously, you probably already understand this, but just framing these questions in this way is just making it easy for them to actually comply and actually be curious about, oh, yeah, like, yeah, you could ask a couple questions and really just see if you can actually even help. But people would be more open and receptive to that. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, if they say yes, just transition into two things. You can either just send them your calendar link directly and just tell them, hey, yeah, go ahead and grab a time that works for you here. Boom, send the calendar link. Or what I like to do is just suggest two options so that they don't even have to think. We're just making it easier for them. Hey, does tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. work better for you? Right? Super simple. We're just making it easier for them to actually just pick one and go with it. And now we have a booked appointment on our calendar. So there is an optional urgency line here to just say, once you send them that calendar link, say, oh yeah, sweet. So I'll just keep this open for a few minutes just to make sure it's confirmed on my end, or just to make sure it goes through. That way you don't send the link to them and they just kind of ghost you from there. So that's the process there for outbound DMs. So like I said, if we jump back to Instagram, go through your followers every day. If you have people following you, if they're coming in from your ads, boom, she came from the ad. Boom, let's see if anybody else, right? People following you from your ads. Right here, boom, followed from the ad, followed from the ad, followed from the ad, followed from the ad. So you can see this is within the past day, right? You should be getting tons of these every day. And keep in mind, people have seen your ad, so they're seeing some sort of interest, and they've seen the call to action where it said to follow you. And then if they follow you, they're pretty much opting in and saying, hey, look, I'm interested in learning more about this thing. So that's why I'd always recommend sending that message there initially. So let's finish this out here on the script. So once you've done that and you've booked that initial appointment in, really, it's pretty similar process for inbound DMs. So like I mentioned, a lot of people will start messaging you first because they're seeing your ad, they're seeing your content time and time again. Very similar flow. All you're going to do is just acknowledge them. Hey, appreciate you reaching out. So keep in mind, they've already sent you an inbound message first. Boom, hit them with, cool. Is it cool if I just ask a couple quick questions just to see if I can help? And then again, if you feel like this person is qualified and you can already clearly see that they would be a good fit to work with you, just transition right to the call. Right? Just move right down here to the call. But if you are at a point where like, hey, look, I'm only working with specific people. I can't take on anybody. I can't take on beginners or whatever it is. Then just qualify them a little bit. And that's the whole idea behind these questions. So for me, the examples are, hey, what's been the biggest challenge for you right now? Or like, hey, what maybe had you interested in potentially reaching out today? Just to find out a little more why and get clear on that before you actually transition into the call. So same process here. Get them onto the call. That's the main goal with the DMs, is just find the people that are interested. If they are interested, boom, pitch them to the call. And that's where you'll be able to do majority of the selling and continue on with your sales process. So in terms of follow-up, this is the very end here. This is very simple. So you just want to be constantly following up. And keep in mind, if you are retargeting people with videos and you're also posting content consistently, that's going to be doing a lot of your follow-up automatically. But if they don't respond to an initial message, just jump right back in. And the reason and the way to always do this is to do it with value. So we don't want to just be hitting people with like, hey, just following up, or like, hey, did you see that message? It's like, well, hey, I saw this video, or I saw this YouTube video I made, or I saw this reel that I made, and I thought of you. I thought maybe it would be helpful with the problem you were experiencing. And that is your follow-up, right? You're not actually following up and asking, hey, I'm just following up. You're actually providing more value and showing your expertise and showing your professionalism in the way that you do that. So that's super important. A couple small things here in terms of like timelines, in terms of like how to follow up, how frequent, what to say, those sort of things. And this whole video is basically like an SOP. So if you are the one that's doing this initially, you can literally hand this off to a virtual assistant. You can handle this off to a team member, and this would be the SOP that they would follow so that they can implement it exactly for you and you can free your time up. So keep that in mind. If you need help with that when it comes to getting an actual assistant to actually do these follow-ups for you, that's something we can help out with as well. And then lastly, what to avoid, like I had mentioned, just don't send long messages. Right? We don't want to be, if they're sending super long messages, sure, you can reply a little bit, but don't be overbearing on people. It just kind of feels a little one-sided if you're really like hitting them with long messages. It seems a little needy. So you want to be explaining your whole services in the DM as well. You don't want to be sounding desperate. You don't want to be copy and pasting without actually reading the conversation. And we definitely don't want to be doing the just follow-up messages. So all of this comes back to, like we talked about at the very beginning, is just understanding like what the actual goal is, right? Understand what the goal is, and then following these big rules. We're just starting the conversation, seeing if they need help, and then booking a call if they do. If you're messaging about anything that isn't those things, you're doing too much, right? We want this to be as simple as possible. Last thing here is the mindset shift. So again, the DMs are not a sales pitch, right? It's just a way to open that door, start the conversation. If somebody wants help, book the call. If they don't, be kind and move on. That's how you're going to win without burning out or burning your time. Simple as that. If you have any questions, send me a message, but start implementing this ASAP now that you have your ads running so you can start booking those appointments as soon as possible. Peace.